Now, Reagan says if something requires an immediate response, you can call 911. If something is not as immediate, then you can call the FBI. That's the number on your screen. Mike, have you heard from the state about the investigation?
Some of the rollers. Yeah, Christine?
Oh, yeah.
Mike, can I talk to you about the audit?
We're joined now by 23 ABC's Bain Froney. She's live outside that house in California City with the latest on the investigation. Bain, what can you tell us? Leslie, thank you. And the president sending a message for all Americans on this New Year's Eve. President Trump saying that despite everything, there is still much to celebrate as we welcome in 2021. Several lawmakers have called for your resignation because they say statements like that contributed to firing up the Capitol rioters. What did you mean when you said that? This is when it was burning from up in Sylmar southwest into the Porter Ranch area here. This is the 118 freeway. This is Interstate 5. But many hospitals, like Mercy behind me, say that their COVID situations are improving, and that's why health officials say that we may be moving closer and closer to advancing to the red tier. As we head to the Crystal Palace, our boy Elvis, our boy Merle Haggard, I myself am gonna get into the mood.
All right, let's hear it.
You want to rock out. You got it, you got it. The intersection out here on Brundage and Union is closed for the time being. If you take a look over my shoulder, it was the perfect recipe for disaster. All it takes is one ember to destroy a home, just like the one behind me. And they're going to be lasting throughout the afternoon, and obviously the product of these strong winds can be seen right behind me.
Boston, you're single and ready to mingle.
No, I'm not ready to mingle. All I do is I work and I snack. I'm single and ready to pringle.
Hey, good enough.
Tim, tonight was the first Kern County Fair Board of Directors meeting since allegations that the fair misused state funds and violated multiple laws. The fair is yet to comment directly about whether these allegations are true. I asked the fair's CEO that exact question. Here's what happened. Mike, have you heard from the state about the investigation?
Some of the rollers. Yeah, Christine?
Oh, yeah.
Mike, can I talk to you about the audit?
Mike Olcott, CEO and general manager of the Kern County Fair, ducking 23 ABC's questions about alleged misuse of funds by his fair.
I know you're adjourned. It wouldn't have mattered anyway, Blodgey.
And the chairman of the fair's board getting heated.
Now that we know each other's first names, and you know I've known you for a long time, are you happy?
No,
Okay.
I'm not happy.
Well, that's too bad.
And I'm going to make a big issue out of it, too.
Good girl. Yeah, go.
The dramatic moments coming as the Kern County Fair Board of Directors held its first meeting Monday after a California Department of Food and Agriculture audit detailed that a California County Fair misused state resources and violated multiple state laws. The Kern County Fair is not mentioned by name, but the Kern County District Attorney's Office saying Fair Board members confirmed to them that the audit was likely about the Kern County Fair.
Excuse me.
As fair officials left the building, many members of the public who showed up and wanted answers leaving unsatisfied because the board members refused to answer questions about the alleged misused funds.
I don't think they wanted to hear from us, and I think they were defensive, and it's regrettable.
The entire conduct of this meeting leaves a very bad taste in one's mouth in terms of how they are actually addressing the problems.
The problems, according to the audit, include over $300,000 in misused funds, including $132,000 in credit card purchases with no receipts and $30,000 in excessive and illegal travel expenses. The report also saying several employees spent most of their work hours doing side jobs.
My specific boss pressured everybody in the maintenance department.
Chris Medellin was in the audience at the meeting. He says he's a former employee of the fair and calls himself one of the whistleblowers who triggered the investigation. He explains one example where he was asked to fix a truck that belonged to his boss's friend.
So I got a box of parts saying, hey, can you do this? Well, it wasn't a fair thing, but I did it on fair's time, and the guy gave me a check later on.
Medellin, like many others, felt that the board should be more transparent about how taxpayer money was spent. Board member Lucas Espericueta is saying that's not an issue.
We're operated like a business. Our revenue, the tickets from sales, the tickets from parking, our take from concessions, all that is part of our revenue, and paying all of our employees is part of our expenses. We don't receive or abuse any taxpayer money, and because it's the money that we generate here at the fair.
Now, we asked other board members for comment. All of them turned us down. The Kern County District Attorney's Office is investigating the fair following the audit. The DA says there may be possible civil and/or criminal charges filed. In the Live Center, Austin Westfall, 23 ABC, connecting you. It's known as the center of the aerospace testing universe, and it's located right here in southeast Kern County. Edwards Air Force Base is one of the largest Air Force bases in the United States, and amid this coronavirus pandemic, they have a new mission.
There's no better time to actually be a leader in the Air Force because everything you're doing is huge and very important.
Edwards Air Force Base is still performing essential military operations amid the coronavirus pandemic. The base, which is a hub for aeronautic testing, is now repurposing some of its resources to battle the virus. Enter the base's Makerspace workshop, where we find Master Sergeant Jason Greenwell. He's normally the base's career assistance director, but he also has an emphasis in electronic warfare.
What we found is that UVC can help to combat the virus and many other viruses as well.
Greenwell is building a robot that will be able to kill traces of the virus by exposing it to 15 seconds of UVC light.
If you want to, there'll be a camera on it.
According to the Columbia University Center for Radiological Research, UVC light is potentially lethal for viruses in the air.
It will map out the building. Well, it'll go around the building and have this UVC light and kind of stay in an area for a certain amount of time, then move to the next area.
The project is in the early stages of development, but Greenwell hopes to program the robot to work autonomously, similar to a Roomba vacuum cleaner. That way it can disinfect rooms without people having to go in and risk their own health. Greenwell saying there are already items like this out there.
But they range anywhere from $100K up to $1 million, and that's not feasible in a lot of situations.
Greenwell says he expects to have a prototype done within the next couple of weeks. Any design made will be sent to Air Force headquarters.
And then we push it out to not only the rest of the Air Force, but the DoD, and because these are open source, we share these with the civilians as well. We have much more to show from our visit to Edwards Air Force Base. Tomorrow morning on 23 ABC News, we'll take a look at Makerspace's efforts to create 3D printed face masks. But for now in Bakersfield, Austin Westfall, 23 ABC, connecting you. It was at about 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning when the Biden administration took over the Oval Office, and several former presidents were in attendance at the inauguration, except for outgoing President Donald Trump. Still, many others were in attendance, including some local Kern County leaders.
So help you God?
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
It is always amazing to think that at one moment you've got one party in charge, and just like that, you've got a different party in charge, and it really is a magical moment.
History was made Wednesday as the 46th president, Joseph R. Biden, was sworn into office. The new president giving his inaugural address with no crowd and current and former U.S. leaders nearby. Congressman David Valadeo, who represents part of Kern County, was in attendance.
Normally we're up on the platform sitting amongst my colleagues, and this time they had us spread out all over the place, trying to keep us socially distanced.
We will get through this together.
In Biden's inaugural speech, the president acknowledging the country is struggling amid a deadly pandemic, while also calling for unity. In attendance were Bill and Hillary Clinton, Barack and Michelle Obama, George and Laura Bush, Senator Mitch McConnell, and outgoing Vice President Mike Pence, along with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy.
And every time you look at this photo, remember the beginning of the job we have to do. Congratulations.
McCarthy presenting a photo of the inauguration to President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Notably absent from Wednesday's inaugural events was outgoing President Donald Trump, who left home to Florida before the ceremony. Trump was not mentioned by name in Biden's address, as the 46th president looks to bring a divided country together.
Every disagreement doesn't have to be a cause for total war. And we must reject the culture in which facts themselves are manipulated and even manufactured.
Now with a Democrat in office and a Republican out, we asked Valadeo where the Republican Party should go from here and how he'll work with Biden. His response is also rooted in uniting.
Making sure that we find those areas where we agree and working together and unifying the country. I mean, with what's happened over the last couple of weeks, looking to heal the country right now, I think is more important than anything.
Now, typically the inaugural ball would happen on the first night of a presidency, but that's not going to be happening this year because of COVID restrictions. President Biden did, however, have a busy first day in office. He signed a number of executive actions, including some overturning some Trump policies having to do with immigration and with climate change, among other things. In downtown Bakersfield, Austin Westfall, 23 ABC, connecting you.
Before